I can do 56 days of productivity in a week. That's how I made my first $1 million. People ask me all the time, do you do that? Look, everyone in my company had the same opportunity I did. I outsold the next guy 3-1. Not because I had more relationships, not because I had a better education, not because I was a better salesperson. I just beat him with math. I beat him with math. I just got very good at being productive, accessible, and gracious. And I had a ton of fun doing it. So productivity is one of those lenses that they can make fun of me on TikTok all day long, the guy from La Brea and whatever famous people that are building my brand by raising awareness to, how's this guy work 64 hours a day? I might as well work 1,500 hours a day. No, it's not about the hours. That's a man-made construct. Productivity is in the realm of thought. It works at a different time zone than light. Light is the time it takes a particle of light that leaves the sun to come to the earth, which is how we base 24 hours of activity. Thought is how we can be productive, accessible, and gracious. We can bend time. We can travel with our thoughts at a speed that's never been seen before. I could ask you all to close your eyes right now. Let's all go 1 million years in the past and hang out with dinosaurs. We'll have no problem in the speed of thought being there together. Or 1 million years in the future hanging out on Jupiter in some floating high-rise that I own. All of you could picture that. I could describe it to you. You get there. That's the speed of thought. Too many people cannot reconcile the speed of thought with the speed of light, time. This is why, for example, focus. Someone asked today on my training, they said they wrote down because I'm teaching them to access things that they can remember. And I said, look, it's not about focus because the mind can only focus in on one thing at a time. But the advantage of the mind is it moves at an exceptionally fast rate. So what can we do then? If we know the mind can only focus in on Patrick at once, well, I also know my thoughts move faster than the speed of light, so I don't have to wait another second to access data from you and assess that. I actually can go back and forth like this, refocusing, so that in what appears to be a second of time in the man-made construct of light, I can gather enough data from about 20 different things because I'm practicing that, refocusing. So when I'm doing things online, I always have other things going on, and it's not multitasking because it actually is occurring in separate time frames according to the speed of thought that is so much faster that it's encompassed in 1 second or in 1 minute. So it looks like, how does he do his emails, listen to what I'm saying, train on the 3 different platforms, and write a note to himself? Because I'm well practiced at refocusing. Gathering enough data from multiple data points in order to assess and effectuate it into the speed of light, normal time frames. Knowing that that makes me more productive, accessible, and gracious. Far more productive. These are the type of things that we can resist and make fun of, or we could be more interested than interesting and say, if we don't understand it, what do you mean by working 64 hours in a day? That's impossible. It's not what I say, it's what you hear. I appreciate you didn't hear me. Let me explain further, which is the purpose of why I do videos, so that it makes you think, not agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me. I need you to think about it and help me come up with something better that'll help more people, because I don't know what I don't know. But if I share things with people, what has situationally created lessons that I've learned, they can get bigger and better by giving it to more people, so they can say, hey Dave, have you ever thought about this? Or how does this apply to this situation? Or maybe they misunderstood me and said, how do you work 64 hours in a day? Or make fun of me, which is awesome. This is a really key concept to being productive. Productivity leads to accessibility. Accessibility leads to gratitude. Gratitude is your perspective. It gives you the ability to find what? Light, love, and lessons in everything. You talk about you should love what you do. No, better, I like the person that learns to love what they do and decides whether or not it's worth their time. I use food as the best analogy of learning to love, because if you go to the Del Mar Fair and you walk down the food aisle and you're with more than 2 people, it's so funny how one person's like, oh my God, I love that turkey thing, and the other person's like, that's disgusting, and then the other person like, oh, the funnel cake, that's the and you go down and you're like, wait a second, there must be light, love, and lessons in all these food. Is it worth my time to figure out how I like a fried chocolate Snickers bar? Is that worth my time? Well, according to my values, probably not. but it doesn't mean it doesn't hold light. So we just have to have the perspective of finding light, love, and lessons, and then determining, is it worth our time? And then prioritize what is worth our time, what's not, which then leads to more productivity, accessibility, and more gratitude, which makes us more money, helps more people, and allows us to have more fun. Great questions. All right, next, Patrick.
Vibration.
Physical realm, the conscious realm. You can increase your vibration in a variety of different ways through dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. You can raise it through exercise. You can massage it, all these different ways you can elevate your physical awareness. Then there's the subconscious awareness, which is dealing with emotions, with energy, emotion. And then there's the unconscious realm of awareness, which is your quantum DNA. Energetic and genetic inheritance is what I call it. Right, so you're set with certain temperatures that you're born with, and you have a certain elevated or less elevated awareness from you're born, but you can adjust that. And so what we talk about with frequencies and the modalities that you have and other people have through meditation, for example, that's why I utilize theta meditation, Theta, because it actually elevates all three realms of my vibration. It increases my cellular vibration, it increases my emotional vibration, and it increases the quantum being that I am, which then elevates my awareness. Why do I want to be more aware? Well, when I first learned it, it was simply I just wanted to know when to buy or sell. Because I thought in this pragmatic world, the greatest awareness you can have to create wealth would be to know when to buy or sell. You can make a shitload of money. But it changed my life because I started becoming more aware of what I'm doing to interfere with my higher vibration or frequency. That was the real magic. When I started realizing, wait a second, I'm aware that I'm angry, frustrated, guilty, resentful, anxious, worried, separate, inferior, superior. That awareness, that changed my life because now I could utilize all the power, light, love, and lessons that I'm connected to and through, knowing there's something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom loves me. Once I raised my awareness to start picking out and only spending minutes and moments in the shit that I do, as the common person says, to get in my own way, I call it, what am I doing to interfere with my potential? Once I figured that out, life got better. Because instead of spending days, weeks, months, and years in that interference, I spent minutes and moments because I had a greater awareness earlier on of what I was doing to screw myself up. I no longer felt as if I had to go get happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. I already was. My focus was primarily on what I was doing to interfere with it. And that awareness was key all through vibration and frequency at the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious level.
So how did you make that determination of what was interfering?
Practice, repetition, and patterns.
Digging deep.
Right, so understanding how the cellular structure works, right? It's stupid. Your senses are stupid, sorry. They may be expensive to replicate, but your eyes don't see things very well, your nose don't smell things very well, your ears don't hear them very well, your touch is inaccurate, your senses are weak. And that's the only way we can input data into our cellular memory, and our cellular memory is short. It usually forgets things. The cellular memory, it usually forgets things when you go to sleep, or you daydream, or you move to the subconscious and unconscious realms for your primary activity. So what do we have to do? We have to practice persistently to continue to get the input so that it speaks enough time to our subconscious to create neural pathways that have an intermediate, at least, memory that hold 40,000 of these memories or thoughts. Now we have a more statistical chance of utilizing that data and it being more accurate, because as anyone knows, the more you test something, the more you repeat something, the more you get to the stable data of what it is. So repetition and patterns are extremely important as we know how stupid we are externally, to get it at least into the subconscious, and then with reinforcement of conscious activity, reinforcing the 40,000 of the thoughts. In other words, this is how it prioritizes the 40,000 habits or thoughts, neural pathways that we have. The prioritized ones speak mostly to your quantum being, to your DNA. There's an epigenetic overlayer to your DNA that can activate and deactivate energetic and genetic inheritances. All of these things elevate your awareness of who you are, where your superpowers lie. We ignore our superpowers. Why? Because they're so easy for us. Because remember, your homeostasis, your normal being, the natural state that you are, is in ease. So if things are ease for you, in the pragmatic world, we think we're not good at it. Well, that's easy. So I started listening to people going, how do you do that? How do you go on stage and speak without notes? Or how do you do that? And I'm like, well, fucking easy. And I'm sure it's the same way as if I asked, LeBron James, dude, how do you dunk a basketball? Which, pretty challenging for me. Not one of my superpowers, even I think with the trampoline. But he probably just laughs and like, what are you talking about, dude? This is not a superpower. Why? Because it's easy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, first of all, I want to thank you because you taught me to practice gratitude daily. And as far as the repetition, I put it in my calendar. I've got alarms all day. And I've been practicing day and night and in between for about 2 years now. And it's significantly changed my outlook and the way people relate to me and I relate to them. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
1 million, 100 million.
And it's still free and takes 0.1 seconds to say thank you?
Yes.
Doesn't cost you anything? No one started charging you after 2 years?
No.
Takes 0.1 seconds still?
Absolutely.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Because I can't get more people to do what you do, but I get it because I'm living that life too.
For sure. So then how do I want to transform my gratitude to I'm trying to spread it out even more. And I heard you mention you have a wind down technique at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't call it the end of the night. I call it the beginning of my day, right?
Okay, yes.
9 p.m. is the beginning of my day. So in the same context that we're talking, right, if we are at ease, when we are most connected to the great omniscient all-powerful source is when we're most at ease. Well, the majority of people go to bed at night to be at ease, right? To recover and access the information without their conscious being in the way, to dream big dreams and to connect subconsciously and unconsciously to that source. The majority of the people go to bed at night and they wake up more tired than they went to bed. Does not make sense because they don't have a unwinding routine. They're attaching their emotions to tomorrow when tomorrow's actually today. It starts there. That allows you to plateau and grow. So I have a sleep coach, number one, because I'm not that smart, educated, and experienced with even situational knowledge, even though I go to sleep every night, and I've slept almost every night of my life. I still am not an expert at it. I'm like the majority of the people. So what did I do? I went and found someone that was. And I said, hey, can you help me? I want to figure out waking up instead of at the bottom of the hill again, like Camus the Stranger, I felt like every day I'm pushing a boulder to the top of the hill, and when I woke up, it was at the bottom of the hill, and I'm like, I got to go play golf with a billionaire. Instead, my tomorrow starts today. And so I'm going to put my body, mind, and soul in a position of recovery and access by what temperature I put it at, by the light that I receive, by the energy and the biochemicals that I put into my body. No alcohol, no drugs, certain temperature. And I started, as you know from repetition, getting coherent at sleep, remembering what I'm supposed to do and doing it, which then allowed me when I woke up to plateau. I woke up at a higher place. I was like here on the mountain, and when I woke up, I was here all of a sudden. I'm like, how'd that happen? And I had a greater awareness because I had an elevated frequency, and I had a greater direction because I'd received downloads from the omniscient all-powerful without exhausting myself with interference of worry, fear, anxiety, frustration, guilt, resentment, and offense, inferiority, superiority, and separation, which were many of the thoughts that even if I wasn't feeling them, I may have been watching a scary movie and created anxious energy before, or fearful energy before, or bad dreams, especially as a child. So the unwinding routine to me, starting your today, tonight, starting your tomorrow today, huge shift in my life. And they're easy to find. There's plenty of articles on Google, there's coaches. I mean, I need a coach because I travel so much, so I have a lot of light eating food. The basics, if you do get to stay at home or sleep in the same bed and surround yourself with the same people, it gets quite easy to know exactly how to put yourself in that position. I always say, I don't talk to my teenage daughters before I go to sleep. So I'm just setting myself up to not unwind. And look, my wife's a normal wife. And she's an exceptional wife, but she's normal in the fact that when I'm about to go to sleep, that's when the big question comes out. What do you think about this? Or are you concerned about this daughter? Or I've trained her. Not happening. Ask me when I'm at my highest self, not when I'm about to go recover and access the superpower. I don't want to worry. I don't want that, thing going on in my head. Huge advantage. Good. I know you got coherence down, so anything I tell you will be effectuated quickly.
For sure.
Anyone that can say thank you that much in 2 years, you're on your way.
Thank you.
Cool. Question? My new friend. Okay. Yes. Brian, right? Jeff, sorry.
When you're
Still don't know names. Elizabeth, right? I've known you for 10 years.
when you're investing, let's say cash in a project.
Sure.
How do you assess the risk? And after you decide to put your chips in the middle, how do you manifest it?
Well, first, before I get to the risk, because that's harder to decipher, I decipher the timing of the investment, because that's easy.
Okay.
And it will vet a lot of deals, whether it's real estate, stocks, bonds, education. There's a timing that's easily vetted and understandable. So if it aligns with my timing, this is something I want to retire when I'm 65 and that's when it'll be liquid. Okay, this is aligned timing-wise with my investment. Then comes the risk assessment. The risk assessment is utilized by trusting all the sources that you are asking about the risk for help, right? And trusting the sources that when I say asking, it's not just asking people, it's go ahead and do the research online, books, wherever it is, but vetting the crap out of it. Asking all the uncomfortable questions you could ever consider. And then you can come up with, by the answers, what level of risk it is. And if that is aligned with where you want to be, and I'll use the lottery ticket as an example because it's easy to trust and vet the lottery. So if I buy a lottery ticket for $2, I know the timing is Saturday at 8 p.m., right? I know that the investment's over on Saturday at 8 p.m. I also know it's 1 in a billion chance that I'm going to win. But I know that. Therefore, when I lose, I'm good with it, right? There's an entertainment value. There's it's like playing craps and saying I got $500 and, if I make 1,000, I'm walking away, and if I lose it all, I'm going to. No one's unhappy. But if you go in without knowing the timing and the risk tolerance, you always feel lied, manipulated, and cheated, and dissatisfied. I see people even win in investments and not know that they've won. Why? Because they don't know their timing and risk tolerance. So, look at some of these meme stocks and other things going on. There was tons of winners. The problem is they didn't do a timing and risk assessment of it, and they ended up feeling as if they lost. I mean, people will tell me, even my wife will say this sometimes. Yeah, I only made, $1,400. I said, you invested 100. You made 14 times earnings. What were you expecting? I don't know. You'll never be happy. But if you say, hey, my average investment like mine, I want 7% to aggregate and compound with no risk of loss, I'm very clear on how I invest. That's why I partner with these guys, right? Because there's a ton of products that are guaranteed products that are aligned with my timing and risk tolerance for where I am in my life, and nobody educated me on them when I was 25, making tons of money with no timing or risk tolerance attached to it at all, and I would do stupid stuff. I was winning and I thought I lost. And it's very important to ask uncomfortable questions, either of yourself or others. And I mean that, of yourself and others. I can't tell you how many business deals I did and I knew the guy was lying to me or over-exaggerating or manipulating me, and I was too embarrassed to ask him the hard question. And then when I got lied to, manipulated, or cheated, or lost my money, I blamed them. Because I was too afraid to say, wait, slow down, this doesn't make sense. How could this be possible? How much exactly quantity are we talking about? Where are, how many times, take my bet I bought, right? I didn't trust and vet, and I knew the guy was overselling me. Oh, we guarantee it, so at any time you get a prorated value on the bed. Well, there's a lot of overselling, back-end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating with that, because when I decided I didn't want to split bed, I wanted this bed, I found out that what he said was very minusculely true. He had exaggerated, oversold, and back-end sold, like utilizing old car dealers, right? Knowing that if they sold you some rust thing that wasn't going to even be apparent for 5 years, that by the time that happened, most people would forget, and 2, he'd be gone. Oh, Jeff, he hasn't been here in 3 years, sorry. I don't know why he would say that to you. Maybe you misunderstood him. How many people, right? I had a guy on the phone the other day. We had a no, we didn't have a miscommunication. What a miscommunication, you lied. I don't lie. Well, you're lying to yourself. And I know where that gets you, so not my job to do anything further, because I knew from the start that you were over-exaggerating, and I made my decision based on the fact that you're overselling and manipulating me. And I'm okay with it. Cool. Yes, Elizabeth.
Dave, can you talk a little bit about your principle with open minds instead of targeting certain demographics or characteristics and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest epiphanies that I've had, because especially coming as quote unquote, a sales mentor, an expert in sales, teaching people to overcome objections, find the avatar, the lowest hanging fruit. We've all heard the terminologies from Zig Ziglar to Mike Bosworth to spin selling, solution selling. They've all done the same thing, program you to think that that's really where it's at. It's not. Life is so simple when you really qualify people by one thing. Do you have an open mind or a closed mind? If I could get back all the time, emotion, value, and money I spent trying to oversell, convince a closed mind or re-engineer a closed mind to my vision, man, I'd be so much more successful. So my first qualification of anyone for anything is, do you have an open mind or not? Including my kids, when I'm trying to teach them from my situational knowledge, experience, or a lesson, so that they can utilize it to evaluate what to do in their case without me telling them. If they have a closed mind about it, I walk away. I don't, 1,000 times the energy. I'm not wasting 1,000 times the energy on a closed mind. So I'm utilizing open-ended questions or comments to determine somebody's mindset, right? So, it's really easy to do, right? I could ask Patrick, hey, did you buy that hat on sale? And by his reaction, I'll know if he has an open mind or a closed mind. If he gets offended, right, and be like, fuck you, I'm like, thank you for saving me time, emotion, value, and money. I'm not going to go any further, even though he's the perfect avatar to buy what I'm selling.
It's my favorite hat, too.
Yeah, good. Or you can just simply ask, look someone in the face and say, hey, how are you? And you've seen them. Thank you. You and all the people that are attracted to you, you stay the fuck away from me, and I'm glad. I know to stay away from you. But if I just smile at someone and they light up and I don't know them and I'm like, hey, how are you? I'll tell you how I am. What do you like about that? Would it help you if I did this? Would it help you? Hey, do you know anyone that can help me? Boom. The qualification after you find an open mind is very simple. Are they a sponsor or a power sponsor, and I a power sponsor or a sponsor? Because an open mind, an open heart, and open hands are either sponsoring you or power sponsoring you. Meaning they can help you themselves somehow, or they know someone that can, and vice versa. You can either help them yourself or someone that can. And open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed people will do so if the time, emotion, and value is aligned. And if not, when it is, they'll do it for you. So I've completely shifted my paradigm in life to find people with open minds and get better at asking open-ended questions or comments in order to facilitate finding out, do you have an open heart open? Statistically, especially as connected as we are today, in person, on the phone, via email and media, traditional and social media, the connectivity gets out of control. Too many people are wasting their time to qualify people in some sort of avatar or demographic that doesn't need to be done. I can't tell you how many business deals that I get because somebody's uncle's mom's babysitter is so-and-so who wants to come on my podcast. And that person, I was calling that gatekeeper with a closed mind 20 times, my team, hey, why won't Cameron Diaz come on Dave's TV show? Why won't Cameron Diaz? Look, all I had to do was find the aunt's babysitter, dog sitter who, Cameron Diaz loved and who followed and loved me. And I said, hey, how can I help you? And they're like, oh, I love your book. Oh, can I sign it, send it to you, pay for it, shipping for free? And I said, do you know anyone that could help me? I can't tell you though, right? How many, and then you start surrendering to it. And then the right person appears all the time because you also are asking the questions. You're asking the universe, you're ordering the universe for it to happen. Remember, source, you're a resource of source. Resource of source. That source loves you as much as you love your mom. So if I asked my mom for something that was going to be good for me, my mom would give it to me. If I asked my mom for something that was bad for me, she would try to give me something better. The difference is my mom doesn't know, right? Doesn't know all of that. I believe source does. So we got to ask more, right? Ask the open-ended, open-hearted for that help. Your life will change as much as gratitude changes it.
They're gonna wait outside.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Why don't New Year's resolutions work?
New Year's resolutions do work, right? It's at what capacity do they work? Just like vision boards work, but we're just leaving it up to chance what really makes it work, which is what we think, say, do, believe, and feel. And so New Year's resolutions are like a vision board, is saying this is what I want this year, and New Day resolutions, taking in consideration the New Year resolutions, intermediate or long-term objectives, will statistically work better because we're attaching our emotions not to an outcome that creates resistance based off of quantity and time. Normally, New Year's resolutions are based off of a year. The minute you attach your emotions to something that has a quantitative end to it, like time, every second that passes creates more and more resistance because you're getting closer and closer to the end without achieving the objective, which creates an energetic resistance. You're actually statistically working against yourself. Therefore, a New Day resolution opens up the energy by saying, this is what I want today, who can help me, who I can help, how to best get what I want today done according to my New Year's resolutions, intermediate resolutions, and long-term goals. This is how best today I can get it done, which is much more easy to handle because the statistical changes that occur in a day are far less than occur in a tomorrow, a week, a month, a year, or a decade, especially now. There's much more consistency and stability in a day than there is a week, a month, a year, or a decade. So in order to effectuate the productive, accessible, and gracious productivity that you want, it's easier to put it into the context of the day related to the New Year resolution, the intermediate, or the long term. And so that's why I'm very disciplined with coherence, remembering what I want, who can help me, who I can help, how to get it done, prioritizing what's important to me today to apply my why today that allows me to remember and actually do it. I talked about in there, for those that didn't hear, right? More and more people are feeling overwhelmed, and I'm like, say thank you. They're like, what are you talking about? I go, it just means you have more than enough. You can't feel overwhelmed unless there's more than enough people bothering you, more than enough opportunity, more than enough, whatever it is. So you just got to learn to prioritize. How do we prioritize? Know your what, your who, and your how. Then you'll know what's important to you, using urgency as a subset. Urgency dissipates itself when you have things by the day. It's much easier to determine how important the urgency is within the context of importance during a day than a week, a month, a year, or your lifetime. Too many people take on the week, month, year, and lifetime, attaching their emotions, creating resistance, interfering with the statistical success that they already have. Sure. Yeah, next question.
So to tap into, was it Calvin, right? To his question about like winding down or beginning
Yeah.
the next day. Like what are like some steps?
Tips? Yeah.
Yeah.
So 67 degrees is ideal for the human body to go to sleep in. You have to find your
Bed that's chilled at like the temperature, but
yeah. And so then too, and there's something called a jet bed that actually goes under the sheet that cools just your side of the bed, or heats it up. Yeah, this is an air one. Yeah, so whichever. But moreover, light, right? You don't want any blue light. You want no negative energy, whatever that means to you. I would get like a chiropractor or somebody to consult what your posture is like to determine hard or soft pillows, how many pillows, what position you best sleep in. I got a sleep apnea test as well to determine that side of it, the oxygen intake, etc. Foods, no eating, so which means no drugs, alcohol, caffeine. And the more regimented you get at it, the easier it gets. Yeah, the other problem exists when you get like me, 16 years into it, is that it's a struggle because you have to have an adaptable routine to live a life. So like tonight will be a struggle. Why? Because my son has a flag football game at 8 p.m. So it's going to end probably a little bit after 9 p.m. and it will be filled with adrenaline, you're right, like all excitement, etc. Then I got to drive home. And so I have to institute an adaptable routine. But the nice thing is when you're, the negative of it is at 9 o'clock, my body will start shutting down, my mind, my body, and so I'll have a really difficult time watching the end of the game or whatever, and I'll have to use some sort of adrenaline to keep up. But it's only one day out of all these, where when it's where you visit, it's a lot easier than if it's where you live. So I make where I live that consistent side and just know already what I'm gonna have to do to stay up, to enjoy what's important to me, which is my son and making sure I'm there for him, to tell him I'm proud of him, I love him, and I got his back. He did his best, learned lessons, and had fun. Ask my primary questions, which he might roll his eyes at when I ask him for the 100th time. Did you do your best? What did you learn? Did you have fun? But I always ask him, because it may not be him listening, but I'm planting seeds. And I see it because I've done it for so long with all my kids that, and I've got plenty of eye rolls, trust me, making fun of me, but I'm planting seeds and it's paying off.
So how long have you seen him adopt your belief system, your kids?
Yeah.
How did you introduce it to him?
I didn't. Right, I had a philosophy that my kids watch me.
Okay.
And I wasn't talking about videos because I didn't have videos when I first started this.
Yeah.
So I started telling myself, act as if your kids and your mom are watching you when even no one's watching. Because what shook my world was when I wasn't living my life in this way, and my wife said to me, what would your mom think? If your mom knew what you were doing and how you were acting, what would your mom think? I still get choked up. Could you sit in front of your mom and tell her the things that you've done? Right? And I started living my life so that I gladly sit in front of my mom and tell her everything that I did when nobody's watching. Don't want to do it from before my wife brought this up. But, and I think with my kids it's the same way, that when they're not watching, I'm the person that I want them to be, the best that I can be. And they're picking up on it, and then the videos don't hurt now, because they're getting the reinforcement of their friends saying, oh my God, your dad's amazing. And they're like, they're looking up in my dictionary that Colleen gave me what the word amazing looks like.
So back to your sleep thing.
Yeah.
What's your mindset before you go to sleep? Where are your thoughts at? What are you thinking about?
Believe it or not, I'm in gratitude. So the last thoughts that I have is I just start listing out the light, the love, and the lessons. And I start with my health, I go to my family members, and then I go to the activity I get paid for. And then I do an exercise that's in the Course in Miracles, which is I slowly look around the room and find meaning in everything. And look at that picture and say, wow, how grateful. Like, look what that means to people. Look how happy they are together. And wonder what they're, and just all these positive thoughts, training my brain that when my body passes out, it's going to be searching for light, love, and lessons from a higher source than the interaction and situation that I'm in here.
To that point a little bit, as far as
Oh, go ahead.
as far as
You're
as
next.
far as manifesting and laws of attraction, if you could think back to your business when you were young and not as successful, what would you tell your son or mentor as far as manifesting at that time?
Yeah.
For roadblocks or
feel. I tell myself, ask and feel. So I think manifestation at a young age, I wasn't asking enough, finding people to sit in the situation that I want to be in. And birthday, to do 50 birth called the 50 for 50 and raise $2 million, over $2 million to build these community centers. I was feeling what it was going to be like to walk into there, what it would feel like for these multi-generational Kenyans to be able to facilitate not only the new way of life, but also to still hang on to the traditions of their grandparents in a community center that provides food and healthcare and career education, whatever it was. But I felt it, and it speeds it up. Must be Marshall Falk. Do you have a question or no? You have to go in?
I did. I gotta go in. But Dave, thank you so much. You're always an inspiration and a joy, and I am grateful for you. And is that book for sale?
It's for free. Hand it off.
Thank you so much. Can I come back and get it signed?
Yeah.
Good, perfect. Okay, sign it now.
Sure. Ask me the question. I'll give you the answer on video.
You know, I'm just, every night before I go to bed, I always say thank you. Thank you to God, and I'm just grateful. But is it good enough just to say thank you? Sometimes I feel like I'm shortchanging. You know,
You can always do more, but yes, it's good enough to say thank you, feel thank you, and do thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. All righty.
So back to the sleep thing.
Yeah. Well, so this one, by the way, I just want to point out, this is why I do these meetups, because obviously I know you'll be seeing a lot of sleep videos now, because everybody seems to want to know about it. And that just passes me, because I'm doing this stuff and thinking I know what you want to know. Sleep's obviously a big part, so good.
Yes. So is there a time that you cut off your phone, or does it vary with travel?
No,
Like, I
phone's
travel
off by 9.
Phone's off by 9. Okay.
Emails 9, and very few exceptions, but exceptions. If it's 12 to 2 in the morning and somehow, because I keep my phone on vibrate, but somehow I'm trusting my awareness. If I wake up because of the vibration, which is very rare, I'll look at it, because I still utilize surrender, and I know the universe wants me to look at it in case it's my daughter or something else, and very rarely am I wrong. Although in Bora Bora, in the Virgin Islands, I cursed myself. Some guy asked me a question very similar to that, and he's like, do you ever wake up in the middle of the night? I'm like, no, not unless it's one of the kids drunk or, kids, and then I'm pissed, because the worst thing for me is to lose a cycle by having to wake up at like 2, you know what I mean? So sure enough, that night, 1:47, Julie's phone rings, my wife, and it's on loud, and I hear, oh my God, Mia's been arrested. I'm like, what? So I jump out of bed, right, completely screws up my thing. Meanwhile, her and her drunk ass sorority sisters, there's a practical joke application that's like, this is Clark County Jail, press 1 to talk to your daughter, right? And then it clicks through to them and they're all laughing at me and my wife, which then was a great experiment too, because the old Dave would have been mad. And for an instant, a minute or a moment, I was pissed. And then I just started laughing at myself, going, actually, that's really funny. And 2, they were having such a great time over it, and that's my goal in life, is for them to be like that happy, even though it was at my expense. So it does layer in, and but I do, on that sleep side, I trust my surrender. Right there, I'm in a system where if I wake up when I'm not supposed to, there's a reason. And it may be so my daughter can make fun of me and me learn a different lesson, because it rarely happens, or maybe don't manifest what you don't want by telling someone I don't wake up in the middle of the night, or right because of this, you're duplicative in its nature. All these things go through my head, right? I don't just let things go, this, no, it's just to promote and protect me. Even my drunken daughter waking me up with her friends, it's to protect me and promote me, because now I see an advancement in my own awareness of being a parent and able to adapt to, not every day is going to be perfect. In fact, you want to make God laugh, come up with a well-developed plan. That's why my adaptable routine is so important. Knowing my non-negotiables of health, family, an activity I get paid for.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So when you're asking, maybe you're asking for somebody else, like your kids, do you see it manifesting? Even though the support from your kids aren't.
So I don't ask for my kids. What I ask is for me to result in my kids. So, right, if my goal of my children are to be healthy, happy, appreciative, and love me, then when I'm asking for something for them, it's for me. Right? So if I want them to be healthy, that's for me because that's what I want them to be, is healthy. So I see it in a different way. But yes, I can manifest things for all of you. Right? If I'm trying to empower over 1 billion people to be happy, I'm manifesting something for everyone. If I want to build a community center, I'm manifesting a whole bunch of things, or creating a situation where it makes it easier with less resistance for them to manifest education or healthcare or financial literacy or whatever it may be.
Going back to the new day resolution, what are some of the practical things that you do each morning to kind of set a new day resolution?
Yeah, so in the normal course of a new day resolution, I start with meditation. I used to use meditation to put me at ease. Now I actually use meditation to access better the information I received while I was sleeping. So it's like a transition period where I'm more aware of, through meditation, what lessons I was learning, and then have them come down. I call it download to me for 20 minutes. And this is why I created a 5-day challenge. I know you guys did the 14-day gratitude challenge. I have a 5-day challenge that teaches this stuff to transition. For me, my unwinding routine also is determinative upon the time that I go to start my unwinding routine, by what time I want to wake up, which is 4 a.m. Pacific time. So when I was in Bora Bora, 2-hour difference, I woke up at 2 a.m. Pacific time and created a situation where I could do activity I get paid for till 9 a.m. Pacific time in Bora Bora, 11 a.m., and have my kids be in a separate bungalow than me over the water. They had no idea how much activity I got paid for. In fact, my youngest said, "I can't believe you didn't work while we were here," which was awesome because I made more money in Bora Bora than I had the rest of the year from the activity I get paid for. But 4 a.m., 20 minutes to transition the information, 10 minutes to get ready for my exercise from 4:30 to 5:30. 5:30 to 6:30 is research. So it's Course in Miracles, studying, email, whatever I want to do. 6:30 to 7:30, family, off the grid. I actually make lunches, dinner, like a breakfast. I walked the dog with my son this morning. It shaved off a little bit because I started my Fridays, our training starts at 7 now. So just adjust, right? But the minimums are still there when you have to adjust, non-negotiable. So it's usually 6:30 to 7:30 family. Then 7:30 I start the activity I get paid for, activity I planned, already coordinating with the activity I don't have planned. In that hour, 5:30 to 6:30, I study my calendar for a minimum of 10 minutes. So I'm studying productivity, accessibility, and gratitude of what I have planned, don't have planned, and sleep, making any last minute adjustments. But I use my company as well to effectuate it. So I have day captains that are studying 4 Mondays down, 4 Tuesdays down. I have a next day captain, which is Nick, by the way. He's always studying tomorrow, seeing how efficient, effective, and statistically successful I can. Confirmation numbers in there, drive times, different situations. If this is going to happen, what time, also why it can be productive, accessible, and gracious. All utilized from usually 7:30 to 5. Then 5 o'clock, once again, shut down until 7. So 2 hours, I'm making the call to my mom, my kids. I do some overlap in 5 to 7. So if, the family is a priority, says, hey, let's watch, Young Sheldon. Well, because of my refocusing capabilities, I'm more than happily snuggling my kids or my wife and easily doing emails to people or DMs or whatever, and they don't know. But if it's, hey, we're doing this together as a family, then it's off. Then, so that's 5 to 7. Then 7 to 9, it's just open, determinative upon the activity I don't have planned. Could be friends, it could be football, it could be TV, it could be all work or research or whatever. But it goes by them as a priority, not me. I'm reacting to what they want and prioritizing them. but I'm not stupid and just somehow have arbitrary thing. Oh, I don't do this from 7 to 9 because this is family time. Meanwhile, my family doesn't want anything to do with me that day. I'm not going to just sit there and sit with my wife like I'm a good husband. I know you don't even want to see me right now. I used to think that way because I was so obsessive compulsive. All right, last question real quick. Who wants to ask? Yes, sir.
So I know you own a few different businesses. Same thing. Obviously, there's variables to everything, but do you have your days kind of set out for each one, or is it like hourly, like from 9 to 10, you're on this company, from 10 to 11 this company?
No. Yeah, for me, it's fluidity between the company and resources, trying to overlap as many as I can, be as efficient as I can. I also built those businesses in a downstream or a spine approach where there is connectivity between all the businesses. So I'm always constantly just downstreaming. It's more under the context of activity I planned, don't have planned, and sleep. And then within the context of plan, not plan, and sleep, paid and unpaid is the next distinction. So one of the prioritizations of the different businesses I have is that like we went from group coaching, the one-on-one became more important, and my TV shows became extremely, different thing now because of the Apple deal, creating content became extremely profitable, where I'm executive producing shows, where I'm sure like an Eminem who used to make his money with albums and then had to go on stage, and now he makes his money producing other artists. Those are different businesses that he owns and still performs in. They're all streamlined together, but he's prioritizing by what? By my third non-negotiable, activity I get paid for. That's important to me. If I'm gonna use my time, I wanna get paid as much as I can after my health, after my family, I wanna maximize the pay, because if I'm doing it, I get to do it, I learn to love to do it. So if, for example, I could get paid $1 million to do this for an hour, this would become a priority. I still do it because of other values that I have, because this helps me when I'm over there or doing the videos, so more people want me to coach them, consult them, and do the things that I do get paid a lot to do. But I still, every Friday for 22 years, free. Some of the best valuable training that I see other people charging a shitload for, go watch them. They're free and they're available to anyone. And other people have video and they charge you for it. I will never do that.